The next day in the garden of the Duke's palace, Sienna felt a bit awkward as she observed the bustling crowd. The Duke and others went to the meeting, leaving her behind. Mrs. Deborah insisted she received the guests. As a daughter of nature, she had to appear at such occasions, but no one paid her any attention. It would have been great if Jairus could talk to her. Suddenly, a fan dropped at Sienna's feet. "Oops, my fan fell. Miss Sienna, can you help me pick it up?" The person who approached was the blue-haired girl who had been angry with her the day before. She was clearly looking for trouble. "Lady Sienna, we are asking for your help." Sienna heard her but didn't move. It felt rude. Memories of her past life flooded back. Loren's sister always took the initiative when faced with hostility, attacking first and using her strength to counterattack. Sienna glanced down, and the fan on the ground suddenly moved and flew into the air. It landed straight toward the blue-haired girl. The girl couldn't dodge in time and slipped, falling to the ground. "Is this better now? I helped you pick it up," Sienna remarked coldly. The blue-haired girl was livid. "This orphan dares to treat me like that?" The crowd began to murmur and criticize Sienna, calling her arrogant and brash. "She's just joined the native family and now she's bullying the children of loyal families. The Duke will certainly be disappointed in her." Sienna remained silent. To her surprise, it wasn't just children who were mean to her. Adults joined in too. "Orphans have no education. She's about to become a duchess and acts like this? So arrogant." Sienna didn't feel the need to explain herself. There was no point, no one would help her anyway. Just then, a voice interrupted the gossip. "What's going on here?" A silver-haired man appeared. Sienna recognized him instantly. He had helped Lorena in her past life. It was Count Jester, who had supported her sister's rise to become the future duchess. Why was he helping her now? Count Jester cleared the crowd with a few sharp words, silencing the criticism. "Thank you for helping me," Sienna said, her voice trembling. "But don't do anything like this again. If you encounter any problems in the future, just look for me." Jester smiled gently, his enthusiasm palpable as he invited her to go out with him. But something didn't feel right. Sienna sensed the dark, malicious intent from him. In the next moment, Jester ripped off his mask of deception, drawing a dagger to control Sienna. The rain poured heavily outside as Jester pushed open the door to a house and shoved Sienna inside. "Hurry, upstairs," he ordered. Sienna stumbled, falling to the ground. The gem in her bag fell out, and her heart raced. Was her Aros still unresponsive today? Could she escape this danger alone? She was dragged into a small room. As the door opened, a foul stench filled the air. Jester smiled eerily, tossing Sienna to the floor. Her eyes landed on a blood-drawn symbol beneath her. Jester caressed a nearby coffin, muttering, "My angel. I will definitely revive her." The horrifying sight chilled Sienna to the core. Jester then revealed his twisted plan. He intended to use Sienna's blood to transfer magic, reviving his daughter. Sienna stared in disbelief. How could transferring magic be so simple? If just drinking blood was enough, Lena wouldn't have spent so many years trying to destroy her. Jester's smile twisted into something dark. "If you don't obediently comply, I'll kill you." Seeing the madness in his eyes, Sienna knew that even if she played along, it wouldn't end well. She had to take control to survive. In a flash of desperation, she bit Jester's hand. The man cursed, shoving her away in pain. "Damn kid, dare to bite me? Watch me drain all your blood right now." Sienna immediately called for Aros, and fierce flames erupted around her, swallowing Jester whole. The man screamed in agony, struggling against the fiery inferno. But in the blink of an eye, Sienna's body transformed. Her original form was restored. Aros's voice rang out, telling her to run. Jester was deeply corrupted by evil spirits and was slowly regenerating in the fire. Aros had no physical form, and the flames couldn't stop Jester's recovery. The exit was blocked, but Sienna glanced toward the window. Could she escape by jumping? As Jester advanced toward her, Sienna's mind raced, searching for a way out. A familiar and urgent voice rang out. Sienna looked out the window and saw Elle, riding a horse with a bow drawn, shooting arrows toward her. "It's Grandmaster Elle," Sienna thought, relieved. The girl had been kidnapped by a pervert, but just as the situation grew critical, Grandmaster Elle appeared. Seeing her lover in danger, Elle spurred his horse forward, raised his bow, and released an arrow. The arrow, carrying blue flames, sliced through the air with the wind. It struck Jester's body, piercing his magic, but the wound quickly healed due to the evil spirits corrupting him. "No, we have to leave now," Sienna thought desperately. Looking out the window, she saw Elle waiting below. Without hesitation, Sienna jumped down, landing safely in Assel's arms. "Sienna, are you hurt?" Elle asked, concern in his voice. "I'm okay," Sienna replied, relieved. But suddenly, there was an explosion upstairs. Jester, fully consumed by the evil spirits, had transformed into a demonic beast. Dozens of creatures surged forward to attack, but their strikes had no effect. Aros's voice echoed in Sienna's mind, explaining, "The evil spirit of the magical beasts is breaking out. Regular magic can't break through. Only the power of names can defeat it." Assel's name was Thanatos, and Sienna's name was Jaro. The combined strength of their names would be enough to purify the beast. Two streams of power merged, forming a beam of brilliant light that shot toward the demonic beast. The magical beast finally disappeared and the crowd erupted in cheers. Elle and Sienna breathed a sigh of relief as they made their way back. Sienna reflected on everything that had happened recently. Jester, Lorena's supporter, had died, again before Lena even entered the Duke's palace. Was all of this just a coincidence? The Cradle of the Moon room, which had originally belonged to her sister, was now hers again. Aros had been destroyed by Lena in her past life, but now he was by her side once more. The gem mine, once her sister's, was hers again. Even though she wanted to change everything in this life, it felt difficult to break free from the past. Back at the Duke's office, the deputy officer presented the kidnapping investigation report. The level of Jester's demonization had been very severe. If not for Sienna, the cleansing fire would have ignited, likely triggering a large-scale raid by demonic beasts. The Duke, however, found something strange. Why had Jester suddenly been invaded by evil spirits? According to the deputy officer's investigation, Jester's daughter's body had been found at the scene, and there was preservation magic on it. It seemed as though Jester had tried to save his daughter, but in doing so, he was overtaken by evil spirits. However, Jester himself didn't know magic, so the person who cast it must have been someone else. The Duke realized something was wrong. Sienna had described how Jester wanted to use her as a sacrifice to save his daughter, but was this really just an illusion caused by the evil spirits, or was someone else taking advantage of Sienna's abilities? He ordered the deputy to seal off the scene and release the dove. There had to be a clear investigation. Since Sienna had escaped the kidnapping, Aros was very concerned about her. To enhance her survival abilities in unexpected situations, Aros intended to give her special training. Special training? No need, Sienna interrupted. If I die, you can just find another owner. What did you say? The angry little flame flared. I am the master. I chose after many difficulties. How many times have I said it? Her life is not something to be taken lightly. Don't you think about my feelings at all. Seeing the little flame upset, Sienna realized that what she said was too harsh. Aros reassured her once more. Besides you, I don't intend to let anyone else be my master. In that moment, Sienna's forgotten memories resurfaced, and she asked Aros, "So, is there any way to destroy destiny?" The little flame became angry, growing larger. "You want to destroy me again?" Sienna hastily explained. "I didn't mean that." After hearing Sienna's words, Aros began to understand the situation better. Sienna still couldn't explain why this was happening, but in her lost memories, it seemed that she wasn't always Aros's master, and Aros had been destroyed by someone else. The small flame paused, deep in thought. "Are you sure I will be destroyed? Maybe someone changed me," Sienna thought. She wondered if that was possible. But why would Lena do that? Even though Lena had never directly harmed Aros, she was still the genius mage chosen by millions. Lorena was born with rare healing abilities. She had once extended the life of a seriously ill emperor by a year, which had made her famous as a healing magician. "Does she not want you to be my master, so you took me away?" Sienna mused, feeling suspicious. At that time, when she had been robbed of her magic power, could she still become Eros's master? Even so, Eros chose her. "I will still choose you as my master," Aros reassured her. Sienna's heart stopped for a moment. "Even if I don't have magic power, you still choose me?" Aros continued, determined. "I want to give you special training. If you keep running away, you won't be able to live in peace. To stop Lena from sabotaging you again, you must become stronger." Aros gently placed his hand over Sienna's. "Don't worry. You are not alone. Our contract is eternal. I will always stand by your side. So, your enemy is my enemy. I will always be by your side." The unexpected sincerity of his promise left Sienna confused. Those words seemed to warm the most sensitive corner of her heart, transforming her long-standing resentment and repression into tears. Lena had caused the deepest hurt in Sienna's life. She didn't want to trust anyone anymore. She had clearly determined to push everyone away, but deep inside, she still longed to be loved. "I will forever be by your side." Aros's words brought immense strength to Sienna. "I've decided, whatever happens, we'll face it together. I will become the best healing magician. A lifetime of being weak and cowardly like a mouse is enough," Sienna declared. "Even though I don't know what the future holds, we will reach the top. I'll engrave your name, Aros, into it. People will always choose us. No matter what happens, we'll always be together." Her confident, bright appearance even surprised the Duke. There's something different about this child, he thought. The Duke asked about Sienna's health. "Thank you for your concern, Your Highness. I'm okay," Sienna replied, not shying away from the Duke's gaze. She flashed a bright smile. "Thank you, Grandmaster, for your timely help, but I was really scared." The Duke, concerned, asked in detail about what had happened. In the past, Sienna would have lied and hidden the truth, but now she would use every opportunity to achieve her goal. She pointed and spoke, recounting the event. At that time, Jester suddenly held a knife and threatened the child. The Duke was startled. "Dared to threaten with a knife?" Sienna continued. "I wanted to ask for help, but no one came to my aid because you and the other ladies were also in conflict." She told the Duke everything about being bullied. The Duke's anger grew. His little daughter had been humiliated like this. "What was Mrs. Deborah, whom I sent to look after you, doing at the time? She was busy receiving guests and didn't pay attention to my child?" Sienna complained. "Even when I was threatened with a knife, she completely ignored it." The Duke was heartbroken. "No matter who you are, you have no right to dictate to my child." "They dare to disobey my orders and treat my daughter like this? What an unforgivable sin." He ordered the immediate revocation of Count Jester and Lady Deborah from their positions. They were to be disqualified, expelled from the territory, and have all their property confiscated. Those who bullied Sienna are no longer allowed to step foot into the Duke's palace. Duke Nater was the centre of power. No one dared disobey his orders. As a result, no one would dare associate with those families anymore. What an irony it was. Those who had once mocked her as a mere orphan were now reduced to commoners themselves. The nobility began to gossip. Everyone realized that the Duke highly valued Sienna. After that, no one dared provoke her again. People were also curious about the Duke's judgment. An orphan from the streets had not only become the owner of a noble name, but also a healing magician. Some even wanted to adopt orphans, hoping to strike it lucky. That day, Hezero officially began Sienna's special training. In the past, Sienna had always practiced how to concentrate magical power with teacher Seth. Today, it was finally time to show the results. Sienna closed her eyes and felt the magic flowing around the core of her heart. Magic power slowly gathered in the palm of her hand, and a brilliant magical field appeared. This was the beginning of everything, the first meeting of the world. It took the shape of a vast field, the first world that Sienna created with her magical power. It was the first time she had used her magic to successfully create her own field. The little flame was very satisfied. As expected, my master has chosen wisely. Under my guidance, you will definitely be very useful. At the same time, the little flame urged Sienna, "Quickly find yourself a house. Haven't I found the quintessence of gems for you?" His Aros was very dissatisfied with the crude stones. If you just pile up ingredients, can you really call it a house? Sienna, however, reassured her, "It's enough for now. Rest assured." The little flame huffed. "You speak so sweetly, yet you're so cold and heartless. It's all because I was stupid and chose the wrong owner." Then she flew into the closet in the small house, sulking by herself. Sienna sighed helplessly. "I'm sorry, His Eros, I was just joking with you." Before that, the Duke had wanted to comfort Sienna. He asked if she wanted anything. Sienna proactively requested to enter the treasure vault to find his Aros body. Unexpectedly, the Duke was very generous, telling her to take as much as she wanted. His Aros poked his head out and asked, "Is this the master I recognize?" The treasure vault was filled with all kinds of priceless treasures and the heritage of prosperous times. There were even treasures kept since ancient times, some of which no one knew the use of. Michael assured Sienna, "Rest assured, we've already cleaned up the dangerous objects, so this time it won't be too dangerous." "Does that mean there are still dangerous things?" Sienna asked, a little worried. "That's right," Michael replied. "Who knows, maybe there are even scary monsters." The Duke interrupted Michael, who was making a devilish face. "Don't scare her, look at the two children talking." The Duke was curious as to when the two children had become so close. Michael listened with satisfaction. After all, in this house he was the closest person to Sienna. Even the eldest brother Elle wasn't as close. Sienna felt bewildered. If there had been no misunderstandings in her past life, would Michael treat her this well now? The treasure vault was only accessible to people of the Natur lineage or those who had defeated a pomegranate, but it could also help people find what they needed most. However, only one person could enter at a time. The Duke reassured Sienna, "Don't worry, the treasure won't harm those recognized by Natur." Sienna prepared herself. "I'll return safely," she said, before walking into the dark door, alone. In the dark space, nothing could be seen, only glowing footprints on the ground which seemed to be leading the way. His Aros reminded Sienna to be careful, but she didn't sense any immediate danger. Suddenly, Sienna stopped walking. She found herself standing in front of Assel's room. "What's going on?" she thought. "I clearly entered the treasure vault. Why am I here?" Sienna called for his Aros, but there was no response. She noticed the glowing footprints leading into the room. Realizing that Asel was supposed to be at military school, Sienna boldly walked in. As she entered, she saw Asel standing in the room. The moment he sensed someone approaching, Asel turned his head to look at Sienna. His expression was one of pain and disbelief. "The girl in my dream," he murmured, unable to believe his eyes. Could this be a dream? Sienna panicked. Isn't Asel supposed to be at military school? Why is he here, and why does he look so strange today? The familiar feeling made Sienna realize, could this be Asel from my previous life? When the man started approaching, Sienna turned and ran. She wanted to escape, but Asel followed behind, calling her in a voice full of pain. "Sienna, wait!" No matter how much he called, Sienna did not stop walking. "Na yi mao." Surely this is an illusion created by the treasure, Sienna thought. The Duke had said the treasure would provide people with what they truly needed. Sienna didn't want to believe it. Maybe deep in my heart, I've always longed for Asel, who is anxiously searching for me right now. She walked through a door, and as it was closing, she heard the man's almost pleading voice continue, "Sienna, please don't go." Leaning against the door, panting, Sienna listened as his Aros's voice reached her. When he regained consciousness, he realized they were in a strange place. He explained, "When we arrived, Sienna suddenly lost consciousness. It's like being under a magical illusion." These words reassured her somewhat. So everything that just happened was just a dream. Suddenly, something rolled toward her feet. It was a cigarette, with a very ancient design, likely an artifact from prosperous times. His Aros looked at it, pacing back and forth. "Sienna, I want to use this as a house. It's both ancient and enhanced with magic, and there are precious stones in it. It's made especially for us." Sienna didn't want to carry it. "I'm just a little girl. It's unreasonable to carry this thing around." "No, I want it," his Aros insisted. "Otherwise, we won't have anywhere to live." "Didn't you say you could do whatever you wanted? The treasure will help you choose the most suitable thing. This cigarette is the best choice." Reluctantly, Sienna accepted it. "I didn't realize I was still so young, carrying around a cigarette like this." She took out the gem essence and placed it on top of the cigarette. After a flash of bright light, the gem perfectly set itself into the cigarette, becoming one with it. Sienna tried it out. With just a little magic power, she summoned intense flames. The smoke emitted from it could purify the surrounding area. At that moment, another object fell at her feet. It was an engraved ring. His Aros, clearly pleased, enjoyed the scent of the ring. "Bring it with you." Sienna walked out of the treasure vault and saw the Duke and Michael waiting at the door.